We got to figure out like where we're going to deploy this message. We have to figure out what marketing channels we want to use, because it's tough to be everywhere. It's tough to be great at everything. And frankly, we don't have time. We've got to serve the people that we already work with. So I think that there are really like 3 criteria that you need to use when you're choosing kind of where you're going to allocate your resources. The first is, where is the person you want to reach? Where is your ideal person? Right? It doesn't make any sense to market through a channel that doesn't reach the person you want, or reaches them in a way that they're not typically trying to garner information, or is really a secondary place for them, right? So where are they? The second is, what are your strengths? What can you actually deploy successfully? Because let's face it, if you are not an accomplished or proficient public speaker and you're not willing to do what it takes to be good at it, then if you go and public speak, you're not necessarily going to make a great first impression. You're not going to be able to show up and be successful doing it. So what are your strengths? Are you good at writing? Are you good on camera? Are you analytical? Are you creative? How can you really kind of leverage your strengths to connect with the person that you want to reach? And then third, and this is probably one that a lot of people miss out on, is like, what category can you win? Where can you stand out in the eyes of the person you want to reach? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do something completely different than what everybody else is doing. It means that if you're going to go through the same channel, you got to be able to do it in a way that you can win. You can be 1 or 2. That's my goal. Is I want to be number 1 or 2 at least in everything that I do. And Facebook ads are kind of the obvious example. That doesn't mean you have to be the best person in Nashville at Facebook ads. But if you target your who well enough, and the message you're trying to convey, maybe you're the best person at conveying that particular message to that person. So, we're not necessarily having to compete with 75 other people saying the same message if we do the other steps right. But if all we do is swipe and deploy somebody's cut and paste Facebook ad, and half the city is doing the same thing, now we're just blending in, and we're not ever going to get somebody's attention. We're not going to stand out. We're not going to be unique. We're not going to be the best solution for anybody. So, where are they at? What are your strengths? Where can you win? You kind of take something through that 3-step filter, and you're in pretty good shape. So, what are some examples of channels that we can use? Obviously, like I said, Facebook ads, Google ads. If we're working with entrepreneurial types, LinkedIn ads even, right? Direct mail. There's so many different ways that you can do referral marketing. Public speaking, strategic alliances, using channels like YouTube, doing networking. Again, somewhere that there are a lot of different variants of networking. Organic social media that isn't paid, but you're using social media channels. There are probably a dozen others that we can use pretty effectively. And I've done everything from TV spots and radio spots to billboards. And, if you're the only person in your market that's doing radio spots, there might be a chance to stand out if your person actually listens to radio. Now, the problem is radio's a harder channel now because people don't just listen to local radio stations. They got Sirius Radio. They've got all these different options available. But if somebody can figure out, like if their audience, like let's say their audience is more of a senior type audience that hey, I listen to the local talk radio show or something like that, or I'm going to listen to NPR or something, and So I'm going to own that one channel. That's going to be the one place I'm going to show up over and over and over. I mean, it can be pretty effective. So the way that I think of this, you need really 3 channels that you're always working. Like a great example, like if I were going to do this for a local business, might be Facebook ads. I'm going to be really good at referral marketing, and then I'm going to be strong at networking. Those are going to be like the 3 that I might pick. But if somebody's just incredible at Facebook Live, then maybe that's a channel that you're just going to try to dominate through social media, right? I mean, you pick, but you've got to have a few channels, and don't try to spread yourself too thin. Don't feel like you have to be everywhere. I mean, just within like the social media kind of side of things, depending on who you're working with, I mean, you might be doing stuff on LinkedIn. You might be doing stuff with Facebook. You might be doing stuff with Pinterest. I mean, it just kind of goes on. And if we're talking about like going after athletes, it might be more Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, you pick. But, we want to really focus our efforts on a couple channels. And I think realistically, one of them always has to be referrals, right? Like that's like the non-negotiable. You need to have a strong internal marketing plan where you're picking the right referral strategies you're deploying. And there's a whole set of options within there, from point of sale referrals to bring a friend stuff to charity stuff to referral contests to the kind of ask for advice method that we talk about. I mean, there are a lot of options even within that, but you got to pick probably 3 channels if you expect to have a high growth business.